Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Songwriting Sunday. This is a new series that I'm going to be running here on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/RudySmith, as well as on my YouTube channel, Rudog, where I cover basically various aspects of songwriting. And I kind of hope to inform more people out there about, how the process works at all levels, and hopefully get some of you writing yourselves. Now, kind of to preface why I'm doing this series, I feel like songwriting has this sort of air of mystique around it, I feel like a lot of people think it's some sort of, mystical process that only a certain subset of the population's tapped into. And I'm here to tell you that that is absolutely not true at all. And I think that part of the reason for this is that people really have no kind of concept of what goes into it, or of really what a song is at its base levels. And that's either because they've never had the opportunity to learn. Traditional, school music classes really only teach you kind of classical concert composition and music, which doesn't really get you anywhere because nobody really cares if we're going to be real here in this generation. But otherwise, a lot of people just haven't gotten into it because they think they're not cut out for it. They think they haven't been practicing music since they were a kid. So therefore, they can't start writing music, which is just blatantly false. Anyway, with that in mind, I have two goals for this series. One, I hope to convince you that songwriting is something that literally anybody can do, regardless of musical experience or how talented you think you may or may not be. And two, I want to provide you with the information that you need to get started, right? I want to give you the basic building blocks that you need to get started and develop as a songwriter without getting bogged down in technical terms and musical theory, right? I want every video that I make in this series to be useful to anybody, any single person watching it, whether you're an absolute beginner who's never touched an instrument, who's never sung a note in your life, or literally Mozart. And I want to provide, just in this specific one, I want to give, a basic kind of lay down. You're convinced already. I will be this generation's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, not necessarily a songwriter in the traditional sense, but I like where your head's at. I like the enthusiasm. But anyway, that brings us to the topic for today. How to make a song a home. The plan is simple. Forgive the meme. The plan is simple. By the end of this video, you will be able to write a song. Period. Right? Period. Even if you've never touched a musical instrument in your life, right? You will be able to write a song. That's it. It's people think it's complicated. It's not. I'm going to give you the basic building blocks that you need, right? We'll be going through step by step my thought process when I write a song, right? We'll be using the a house analogy that I came up with, right? Of course, the name of this presentation is How to Make a Song a Home, right? Forgive the pun. But by the end, we'll be utilizing those concepts to write an actual song as well, right? Here, together live, I'll be taking suggestions from class, our little chat here, right? The plan is simple. Yeah, I'm going to be taking suggestions from chat, and we're going to be writing the song here together live, right? Included with that, I'll provide you with some free tools that I found doing research for this video that will help you write a song even if you've never touched an instrument in your life, right? There's one particular tool that's a nice chord progression generator that is just going to be really useful. And so even if you've never considered yourself musical in the traditional sense and don't necessarily have any experience with any instrument, you still have no excuse. If you want to write music, you can. Now at this point, you're probably asking, who the hell is this guy, right? Making all these massive promises, and why on earth should I listen to him? Right? Well, let me tell you, right? I've got literally nothing to back it up. Right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to draw some comparisons between myself and the guy that I quite obviously ripped this series off from, a small streamer who you may have heard of named Atrioc and his Marketing Monday series, right? So when we go into my why me, right? So let's look at Atrioc, right? So Atrioc in his time doing marketing at Twitch and Nvidia, right, has proven himself not only to be a skilled marketer, but one particularly suited to the streaming space, right? Like he literally worked at the company that he now streams on, right? Now he still currently works in marketing, so he has relevant skills, right? I, on the other hand, have a couple songs on Spotify that have earned no money, and that's about it, right? But that's, in my opinion, that doesn't matter at all, right? This series, I'm not going to be teaching you, I'm going to be sharing my process when I write a song, right? I'm not going to be giving you the absolute best way to write music, but I'm going to be giving you the way that I write music that I think is applicable to anybody, that anybody can use, right? So once again, I'm sure I'll be missing things all over the place, getting things wrong. People will be saying, you know, oh, you missed this concept that's absolutely essential for anybody who's trying to write a song. You know, I'm not worried about that, right? I just want to share what I think about when I actually do write music, right? I've written a lot of songs that I think are good, that I think I have a message, that I've gotten a message out there that I want to share, right? And I think that anybody out there who wants to do that can do that. Now that I've hopefully convinced you why you should listen to what I say, it's time to answer the question, right? How music into house, right? Like that's what we're all here for, right? What's this house analogy that I'm going on about? In order to answer that, I'm going to divide the house into 3 sections, right? 3 components, right? First, you have the foundation, right? The foundation is the base of the house, right? Rolls off the tongue. Rudy has the it factor and the X factor. Yeah, I thank you. I appreciate that. Absolutely does roll off the tongue. Plays Paper Mario always. Yeah, we gotta play Paper Mario more often. Anyway, we have the foundation of the house, right? So the foundation is always the part that's laid down first, and for good reason, right? It defines your basic parameters of your house, right? It defines the size, weight, scope, dimensions, you know, every basic parameter that you need to kind of determine what the house is, right? If it isn't strong, you just can't have a house, right? So next we have the structure, right? So when I say the structure, I mean the walls, the windows, the doors, the roof, right? The brickwork, you know, the part you see from the outside, right? That gives you kind of an immediate impression of the house, right? You know, what does it look like? Is it a style that you like? Is it tall? Is it short, right? All these questions are asked and answered within seconds of seeing the building, okay? Now, finally, we have what is probably the most important part of the house. The people, right? The residents, right? You can't have a house. A house isn't a home until there's people that live inside, right? They're the ones who give the house actual depth, you know, meaning. And at that point, there are countless questions to be answered, you know? Who is this person that lives inside? What do they do for a living? You know, do they have any family, sons, daughters, right? What does their day consist of? A person has infinite depth. And in my opinion, they're the most important part of the house. Now, what does this have to do with songwriting? As you may have guessed, each component of a house corresponds to a component of a song, right? So, 3 components of a song, in my opinion, right, are the chords, right, or the foundation, the melody, or the structure, right, and the lyrics, or the people, right? So the melody or the chords represent the foundation. They kind of define the tone, shape, and pacing of the song, as well as the other basic parameters. The melody represents the structure of the song, right? It kind of is the first thing that people hear. It's what pops out first and most prominently, right? So you want it to be appealing enough to draw them into the building, or in this case, the song, in order to hear the lyrics or meet the residents, right? You want it to look nice to people walking by so that they get a good first impression of the lyrics, right? And the lyrics are where the depth of the song comes in, right? This is where you tell your story, where you teach your lesson, where you send your message, right? You know, this, you should look at each line like it's a person, right? Each line of your song is a person. It should have depth and complexity both in itself and in context with all the other lines around it, right? Or with the other people in its life, right? So this is where you kind of be spending most of your time, right? There's infinite kind of depth when it comes to lyric writing, and we're not going to get into all of them today. But I'm sure I'll do many other episodes on lyric writing because it is a subject that I'm personally very interested in. So while you're probably familiar with melodies and lyrics conceptually, it's likely that you've never heard the term chord used, or have, but don't know what it means at all, right? Which is fine, right? It's a relatively complicated thing. Well, in its simplest terms, or to get technical with it, I should say, a chord is a collection of notes, usually 3, which are defined by a root note, right? And the chord, when you play it, sounds like an amplified version of the note it's based off of, right? So for example, a G major chord is just like a really big G note. Now that still might not mean a lot to you. So in more practical terms, it's you'll probably hear it most often used when talking about guitars. Right? Guitars, specifically acoustic guitars. Right? So when you're at a party and that annoying guy busts out the acoustic guitar, right? Jams out a couple tunes, right? What they're really doing is playing chords in a certain order, right? And singing along with them. Right? So we've all been to a party like that, right? Where we have that guy. And it's really simple what they're doing. Anybody can really do that if they just have those chords memorized. But that's really all they are, right? And that's all you really need to know. So I'm going to stop there because we're getting into more complex stuff. But all you really need to remember about chords, right? This is what you should write down if you're taking notes. If you're taking notes here, this is the TLDR. Chords can be either major or minor. Right? Major chords are happy. Minor chords are sad. And you can put chords in different orders, right? To convey different things. Right? So to elaborate a little bit, right? A major chord to a minor chord, right? Or a happy chord to a sad chord can make you sound, can make it sound reflective, right? Or remorseful even, whereas a minor chord to a major chord might sound triumphant, right? Which makes logical sense, right? When you think about it, when you're happy and become sad, right? You reflect. You're like, oh, I was happy, now I'm sad. Why was I happy, and why am I now sad? Right? I want to be happy again, right? When you're sad and become happy, right? It's a moment to celebrate. Hey, I was sad, now I'm happy. Life's good. Right? We're celebrating. We're feeling great. Right? So based on that, you might be starting to kind of realize that songwriting isn't really about practice or years of musical experience that you need. Right? It's really about identifying emotions and conveying them effectively. Right? So with that in mind, we're going to write a song now, right? And this is where, where we're actually going to be putting in major chords. Major chords make you happy. Major chords make everybody happy. Everybody loves a major chord. But anyway, this is where we're going to be kind of putting things into practice, right? This is where we're going to be writing the song live. Now, with that said, I only have a small selection of viewers here with me tonight. But if this is a concept that interests you, and you want to potentially watch more, we are live every Sunday, 7 o'clock p.m. EST on twitch.tv/RudySmith. So you're more than welcome to join. So that's RUDISMITH. Little plug in there. Also like and subscribe. Also share. Also comment. Or dislike. I don't know. And there's no dislike, is there? I don't fucking know. Anyway. To start out, I like to have a little bit of a blueprint going in, right? A basic outline, some basic ideas. Now, not too much. It could it hurts to overthink things, right? But, I like to have, an idea of what I want to write about, as well as a couple little ideas of potential things you will dislike. Oh, cringe. Banned. I'm going to ban you. I don't know how to ban you. I won't ban you this time. You are cringe. Anyway, I need some ideas. So what are we writing this song about? And any ideas in the chat? I'm going to take an idea, and we are going to take some sample lines about it, and we are going to write a song. Racism. Maybe not. Maybe something a little more light. Maybe like a household object, perhaps. A food or beverage, you could say. Maybe not anything so heavy as that. Is Rudy fishing? Sprite. Okay, I can do Sprite. So Sprite's green. Sprite is represented by the color green. I have colored chalk here. So we are writing about Sprite. This is the Sprite song, all right? We are writing about Sprite. We got chalk, right? So what do we like about Sprite, right? Let's think. If we're writing a song about Sprite, right, it's because we're passionate about it. We love Sprite, right? So let's say that. We'll say we love Sprite. We love Sprite. Okay? Sprite. Yep, that's right. What else? It's bubbly. Sprite's bubbly. I love the carbonation. Pops in your mouth. Pops in your mouth. I like that. Pops in your mouth. What else? Sweet flavor. Oh, that's a nice one right there. Sweet flavor. It's nice and sweet. How about that sugary goodness? Oh, sugary goodness. Okay. So now we have some ideas, right? We have some basic outline, right? We love Sprite. It pops in your mouth. It's sugary goodness, right? We have these basic lines that we know we want to incorporate into our song, right? So, with that in mind, the blueprint is now complete, right? So, we will go into setting the tone, right? Laying the foundation, right? And to do that, we're going to be playing some chords. Now, today, I have my guitar, my acoustic guitar, and I'm going to be, coming up with a chord progression here. And we'll be going through, my thought process when we come up with this chord progression, or as we come up with this chord progression. And I'm going to be showing you the chords that I'm playing and how to play them on guitar, right? So if you play guitar and you want to follow along, you are more than welcome to. I was that guy at parties to pull out their acoustic guitar. Yes, yeah, that is absolutely true. But with that aside, all that practice at those scummy parties has given me the skills to strum out a couple chords. Right? I'm gonna do a little bit of that, right? And I'm gonna be showing you the chords that I'm playing. I'm gonna be showing you how to play them. So if you play guitar, you're welcome to follow along. If you don't play guitar, you're welcome to follow along on your own instruments. We'll be talking about the chords. If you don't play guitar or any instrument, don't close the video, right? So I got you covered. There is a tool that I found. I found chordchord.com, so that's just the word chord twice.com. And they're just one of many chord progression generators. But the nice thing about them is we're going to come up with a chord progression here. You can take that chord progression and input it into chordchord.com, and it will play out that chord progression for you. right? So if I'm, strumming along the guitar like, right? If I'm strumming along like that, right? That gives it, that rhythm, that flavor, right? That you get with when you learn an instrument, put in the time to learn an instrument, right? But you can just get the same thing with chordchord.com. It'll even throw in a drum beat for you, right? So it will do that for you. So even if you don't play an instrument, you can do that same thing, right? And you can get that chord progression that you wouldn't get otherwise, that you'd need kind of the practical skill on an instrument for and practice on an instrument for. You can get that just through that tool, and it will work just as well. Fundamentally, if you're coming up with the chord progression, right, and you're coming up with everything else on top of that, right, it's still your song, right? Even though chordchord.com is providing you with a sample beat, which if you were to go out and record the song with a band or something, or with a producer or anything like that, they would come up with the specifics of the instrumentals and everything like that. Nobody plays every instrument. So fundamentally, it is still your song if we're taking the chord progression. But anyway, we're going to start off. I'm going to start off on a G, because G is probably the simplest key to play on guitar. We aren't going to get into keys or anything too much. I'm going to go through 4 chords here that we can probably rearrange into several different orders if we want to. Or you can take them and rearrange them into your own orders if you'd like to. So you really only need to know 4 chords that can be put into various different transmutations that work out to different things. Right, so essentially, right, if we start on a G chord, right, so on guitar, I'm pressing this string, so 2nd fret A, right, 3rd fret E, and 3rd fret E on the bottom, right, that's a G chord, right? And then, I want to keep things happy, I want to keep things major, we're talking about Sprite, right? This is a drink. Oh, you know what I just came up with as we're talking about Sprite? Sprite's a drink that gives you energy. Sprite has caffeine. That's the big thing. Sprite's caffeinated, right? So that's huge. Caffeine. Energy. I'm going to write that down. Energy. Yeah, just as we're doing this. So Sprite... So I want to keep things happy. Sprite's a good drink. Sprite's... Yeah. It does give you energy. Yeah. Anyway. So we like it, so we want to keep it on a major, so let's say D. And I'm not picking these chords entirely arbitrarily, full transparency. Certain chords do work better in certain keys, but you don't need to know that. Like I said, I'm giving you 4 chords. Those 4 chords are all you need, and they work together. They're all in the same key. You can just rearrange them to your liking. But and like I said, it's about conveying emotion with the chords, right? So if I start on a G, which is a happy major chord, I want to keep things happy. So I want to go to a D, which is another happy major chord, right? So happy. But at the same time, now we're happy, but we kind of want, it can't stay happy the whole time, right? There's got to be some twists and turns in there, right? Imagine Harry Potter. But instead of, being abused by his step-parents and then going to Hogwarts and, having to fight Voldemort and shit, he just, had a great childhood. His parents never died. He got a great education. Became a wizard somehow and was just happy. That'd suck. That would suck. Right? Who'd read that? Who'd watch that? Right? Yeah, you gotta have the turmoil to get the reward at the end. Right? So let's toss a minor chord in there. E minor. Let's go to an E minor. So if we say happy G, happy D, we go to a sad minor E. Right? So if a G is 2nd fret A, 3rd fret E, 3rd fret E. A D is 2nd fret G, 3rd fret B, 2nd fret E, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right? An E minor is 2nd fret A, 2nd fret D, right? That's a sad E minor. Let's go sad. But now we don't want it to finish sad, right? We want to finish this chord progression out on a happy note, right? We want the listener to, we don't want the listener to be sad at the end. We want them to be happy, right? So we'll go out to a major chord. What's a nice major chord that works in this progression? Let's do a C. C, right? So yeah, a C would be the 3rd fret A, 2nd fret D, 1st fret B, right? So like this, right? So if we were to play that out, it would be happy G, happy D, we're rolling on happy fields. Oh, but we're sad. Oh, but now we're happy again. Oh, we're happy at the finish, right? So there we go. We got a nice little chord progression here. Nice 4 chords that work well together. That's not too bad, right? And actually just playing this now, I like this. This reminds me of this minor to major. It brings 2 lines to mind. Brings two lines to mind. And kind of remember, as we're thinking about this, we have our blueprint in mind the whole time, right? So I'm constantly thinking about those things that I've already written down and set aside about Sprite, right? So as I'm playing this, I'm thinking, this is down, sad, to up, happy. So that's bubbles, right? That's bubbles going up. Ooh, I like that, right? Right? That's that bubble going up and popping and happy. And then we're right back up to the G. Oh. Woo! See, that's a bubble right there. Right? That would work. That's also energy. Whew! Now I'm happy. I'm really happy now, right? I'm at a peak. I'm at a peak because of that. Right? The sting of the Sprite to the sweet aftertaste. Ooh. Oh! Ooh, I'm writing that line down. Oh my goodness, that's a line. Sting of the Sprite to the sweet aftertaste. Oh. Just gonna write sting to sweet. And I'll remember that. Sting to sweet. I really like that. That's a nice suggestion. See? Yes, you are a modern poet. I agree. But now that we have that chord progression, and boom, we're already thinking about lyrics, right, that we can incorporate, right? We're going to move on to the melody. And I am going to be brutally honest here with you. I doubt there is a single musician in the world who has a method to come up with melodies. There's no method. There isn't. All right? You just gotta throw shit against the wall till something sticks, right? And it's brutal, you know? My neighbors probably think I'm a serial cat murderer with the amount of notes that I'm completely off on, completely miss. Just sounds horrible, but that's just the way it is, right? Even somebody who's been doing it for forever. I mean, obviously it gets easier as you go on. Obviously there are tricks, but you gotta throw shit against the wall until it sticks. With that said, it's much, much easier to throw shit against the wall when you have a pile of shit right next to you, right? We already have all this, right? We have all these things that we've written down, right? These are words that we can incorporate, right? These are these things that we could throw against the wall. We don't have to do like blah, 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 blah as we're going through, right? We have words that we can sing, right? And as we sing those, right, we're already starting to work on the lyrics and essentially building a melody that really, really suits the lyrics that we already want to incorporate, right? So for example, right, if we're singing about Sprite and we have these lines, we could say, you know, we're playing our major G, D, to an E minor, to a C, back to a G, to a D, to an E minor, to a C, right? We love Sprite, it pops in your mouth, sugary goodness gives me energy. Ooh, that sweet sting, as it goes in my mouth. Right? I'm just singing random things, right? I'm just throwing stuff. Doesn't sound great. I'm sure plenty of songs, I'll take things from other songs that I'm not even aware that I'm singing, right? I'll throw it again, and I'll even sometimes write a whole verse and then be like, that's Moving Out by Billy Joel, right? Like, sometimes it hits you, but at the same time, it's all you can do, and I find that it does eventually work, right? So with that in mind, right, we can keep working on melodies, but as we do that, we're going to be choosing our resonance, right? So obviously we have these basic lines, but as we write the melody, right, as we go along, we're going to be refining lyrics, right? We're always going to be refining lyrics. This is where you're going to be spending the vast, vast, vast majority of your time, right? Is going to be refining lyrics. I have songs that I've written years ago that I still change the lyrics to, right? Because there's always improvements to be made, and there's always clever wordplay that you can incorporate. There's so much depth, but since we have this blueprint, we can write a bare bones song, right? And this kind of also brings us to the topic of musical structure in terms of verse, chorus. I mean, everybody kind of innately knows the structure, so I'm not too fussed about teaching you. Like it's I mean, if you want to know, it's verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, right? It's just like every pop song out there. So sometimes with a pre-chorus in between, but it doesn't matter, right? And you can change that to your will. But essentially, all you really need to come up with as you start is a verse and a chorus, right? You don't even need to have a connection between the two, right? Because once you have that verse and the chorus, everything else will kind of come naturally, right? You will be, if you play an instrument, you might sit down to play one day, right? And you already have that verse and chorus, so you'll be singing along with that verse and chorus. And then, you'll just go into that, throwing shit against the wall again. But since you already have a melody, right, the lyrics will come for the second verse, right? But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's time to write a song about Sprite, right? So, what do we got? All right. Sprite. By the way, if Chad has any lyric suggestions, toss them out. I like that sting to sweet. I'm looking for more. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be doing some of it too. Sprite, we love Sprite. Sugary goodness, always. Pops in your mouth. Hey, 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 energy, energy. We love Sprite. We love Sprite. Do, 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 do. We love. Okay, so I think that's got to be our title. We love Sprite. So now we'll build a chorus around that, right? Oh, geez, it's raining pretty hard out all of a sudden. It's been 40 degrees all day. Anyway. Sprite, we love Sprite. Sprite, we love Sprite. Ooh. Every time. Oh, I like that. Takes your order every time. Okay, wait. Sprite, we love Sprite. restaurant, it's my order every time, every time. Oh, 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 oh. There we go. I like that. That's a chorus. Sprite, Sprite, we love Sprite, we love Sprite. At a restaurant, it's my order every time, every time. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. There we go. That's a chorus. That's a chorus right there, right? So now we'd write that down, right? So Sprite, Sprite, we love Sprite. At my restaurant, it's my order every time. And then O's, through the rest of the chorus. So now that we have that, right? So we have, right? We've gotten rid of this line, right? That line's already in. We love Sprite is out, right? Unfortunately, we didn't incorporate any other lines, but we added a new line that I really like, right? About the ordering at the restaurant every time, right? So that doesn't matter. So now we still have these things that we want to incorporate, right? We still want to add those 4 items that are left, and of course anything else that we come up with, right? So it's just a checklist, right? So we already have an idea about. Here's my pick. So we already have an idea about where we want the popping line and the energy line, right? So we have a chord progression, so we'll probably play it twice for a verse, right? So we already know that if we want to mention popping in our mouth and energy, we have 2 slots, right? So here and here. Sprite, Sprite, we love Sprite, we love Sprite. At my restaurant, it's my order every time, every time. Whoa, 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 whoa. Pops in your mouth, gives me energy. Sprite, Sprite, we love Sprite, we love Sprite. At the restaurant, it's my order every time, every time. Whoa, 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 whoa. It pops in. Okay, so when we say pops in your mouth, I like the idea of adding like a rhythmic thing there, right? Because popping is essentially a rhythm in itself, right? So pops in your mouth, right? So very staccato. Right? I might even change up the guitar rhythm there, but that's a stylistic thing. We don't need to worry about that. Right? So if we keep that in mind, right? Pops in your mouth, pops. Pops in your mouth. Pops in your mouth. I want it higher. I want that to really, really stand out, right? I want that, and maybe change from pops in your mouth. That doesn't flow as mouth. Pops in your pops. Maybe something with P, right? Get some alliteration in there, right? Get the same letter. That's just a lyrical writing trick, right? Just fluff. But if we want to delve into it, right? Pops. It's where this starts with P. Where would something pop, or how would something pop? In connection with a word beginning with P. That feels pretty broad. I'm sure there's plenty of things, right? So, what's an interest? All right, chat. Interesting words that start with P. What's an interesting word that starts with P? I mean, I walked into that one. No, I'm not. I'm not. Actually. Maybe I could use that. Sprite, pops my penis and a right, oh right. Oh, there we go. Wait. Sprite, Sprite, pops my penis up right. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sprite, Sprite, pops my penis up right. Whoa, 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 whoa. Its energy keeps me going all night. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sprite, Sprite, we love Sprite, we love Sprite. At my restaurant, it's my order every time, every time. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sprite, Sprite, keeps me going all night. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sprite, Sprite, push my penis up right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. We have a first verse and we have a chorus. Obviously, there are plenty of things I would change about that going forward. But we're working on a limited time frame tonight. So, just as some ideas, like when I go in, say, in O after the lines, potentially those could be changed with lyrics. I like them as being O's because it goes with that folky vibe that the song kind of has. Because we have the O's after the chorus. I like that kind of being consistent throughout. But we could change them if we come up with a line that we like. Right? Obviously, the second verse needs to come up. It might be able to be worded a bit better. Right? But at the end of the day, those are things that you do over the course of weeks, months, and it's incredibly gradually. We have a verse and a chorus that we came up with in, let's see, like 20 minutes. Right? Right? Obviously, I've been doing this for a while, and I have an advantage. Right? But we just took a random concept, and we utilized some very, very basic things. Right? So if you take this G, D, E minor, and C, right? And you take it and you put it in its own order, right? So let's maybe even G, C, E minor, D, right? It's already a different order, right? But it sounds completely different, right? And you come up with a concept that you like, right? You have some ideas. You sing some random shit, and boom. You built a fucking song. Like, that's it. That's literally all that goes into it. And then you work at it over some months building lyrics, right? Writing stuff down, coming up with stuff. And there are plenty of things, plenty of tips I could give you about lyric writing, let me tell you. But I'm doing this weekly, right? I got to say some of the good stuff for later. Let's be honest here. But really, like, that's all I got for you. That is how to write a song. Right? We built the foundation by coming up with a chord structure, right? And once again, you could take those chords, put them into chord.com or another chord progression generator, right? Or play them on an instrument, right? And there's plenty of other creative things you can do with chord progressions. Once again, saving that for later. But, I've given you some that you can use. We have put up a structure by coming up with a melody, that nice little rhythm that I kind of fell into towards the end there, right? That nice little rhythm had a nice little structure to it that worked with the lyrics, I found, right? Because it brought back the Sprite very often, right? And then we, plugged away a little bit for a while and came up with some interesting lyrics that had a little bit of depth to them. Obviously, these lyrics didn't have a lot of depth to them, but I mean, even some of these lyrics, right? We put some thought into them. They work with the song, right? They popped my penis up, right? Whoa, 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 right? I mean, that's thought out, right? That we workshopped that, believe it or not. The point is, if you want to get your message out there, this is the way you can do it, right? And it's everything past what we've done here in 20 minutes, right? Which you can do as well, right? Is just fluff on top, right? That's where you add your depth and your own personal message, which obviously I can't teach you. I can't tell you what you want to write your music about, right? That's the whole point of writing your own music, right? You got to come up with the ideas and the concepts, right? But I've given you the framework you need to execute on them. So that there we go. That's it. With that out of the way, this is going up on my YouTube tonight. I'm going to be doing an edited version later on that will hopefully be a lot more concise, because I know I was a bit rambly here and it was a bit stiff towards the beginning as well, I'm aware. But that'll improve over time, I think. I probably won't do a script for future ones. I think I worked a lot better once I went off script for the workshopping. Thank you for all the help. No problem. I'm doing this because I want to do it. I'm doing this because everybody has a message that they want to get out there. Everybody likes music, right? Who doesn't want to write a song, right? That's my point, right? And I have all the benefits. You know, I'm sitting here writing music all the time, and it's music's my therapy, right? This is you know how I process my emotion, how I communicate my thoughts, right? And I feel like it's a great way to do that. I feel like it's an amazing way to do that, and more people should utilize it for that effect. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But anyway, this is going to be I'm going to be doing this every week. Obviously, future ones won't necessarily be quite so overarching as this is how to write a song. You know, I'll be some potential ideas are, like how to write, some complex lyrics, how to, or not complex, but how to, elevate your lyric writing, various different chord progressions. I might do ones on like a deep dive into a specific song that I find interesting, that's well written. I know I've seen a guy 12-tone on YouTube. Who does amazing musical theory deep dives, but I might do something similar, but a little bit more accessible. His videos are great for anybody, by the way, but I think if I did something, it would be a little bit more less focused on the theory and more focused on the kind of communication element and the storytelling. But anyway, that's a whole aside. Thank you for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed. This will be I will be doing this every week for the foreseeable future. So with that said, we have our song. One last thing. Anybody watching this on YouTube, leave in the comments below. I'm gonna give you some homework. If you can believe this. Yeah, I'm gonna give you some homework. All right, you're gonna be. I want you to write the second verse of this song. Right. So you're gonna take our G, D, E minor, and C, and that song we came up with, right? Sprite, Sprite, we love Sprite, we love Sprite, whoa, 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 whoa. At my restaurant, it's my choice every time, whoa. You're going to take those, you're going to put them into chordchord.com or play them on your instrument, and you're going to write the second verse of the song, right? It's not that hard. You need to come up with 2 lines, right? Essentially, right? Maybe incorporate the thing we didn't get, the thing, the sweet, the sugary goodness. Those are 2 great lines that we didn't get to incorporate. If you want to incorporate those, right? So I want you to write the second verse and comment them below, right? Comment where you come up with the second verse below, and next week, before we get into the presentation, I will play the song with some of my favorite suggestions. I can't imagine there will be all that many, so I might even be able to go through them all. So anybody who comes up with a second verse that they like, wants to leave it and wants to hear me play it, I'm open to it. So anyway, that is your homework. But thank you for watching. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. I really do hope this helped some of you. I really hope that anybody watching learned something from this. And hopefully, I've convinced some of you that songwriting is possible, right? And aside from this framework that I'm giving you, I'm going to be building on all this in future weeks. So, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.